Hi, my beautiful melons, and welcome to another episode of Melon Retro. Today, we will be starting a new gameplay series of Stellaris, a retro space exploration / empire building game. I hope you enjoy it as we discover it together. In the eons since the first primitive Glebseg communities took shape in the rugged mountain valleys of Ladnar, our civilization has spread and prospered. As we progress through the technological ages, there were many religions among our people that contended with each other for followers. Gradually, sometimes peacefully and sometimes less so, the true faith found its way to all corners of our world, and the faithful were united under a single universal church. Now, after the discovery of the Hyperlane network, the finest minds of the Glebsig Foundation have finished development of the first hyperdrives. The stars themselves are finally within our grasp. So there's a little bit of setup that will need to be done, such as the research. There we go. As well as getting the construction ship started. Okay, we don't have enough minerals. How many did we need? We needed 200, so we'll wait until we've got that, but in the meantime, we'll start surveying a nearby system. At the moment, I'm not doing that many research ships because I just want to let the setup happen slower so that not too much is happening all at once. I'll build some more construction ships in a few episodes. We're adopting diplomacy first because since there are a lot of empires, that is going to be a likely struggle to have peaceful relations. And according to our placement, that implies there are either 4 fallen empires, 19 active civilizations, 20 active civilizations and 3 fallen empires, or 21 active civilizations and 2 fallen empires. So that gives us an indication of what it randomly generated. We also won't be doing habitable world in habitation straight away because I want to wait a while until I can make them Gaia worlds so that they provide even more benefit to us. This particular asteroid is an extrasolar capture and appears to have been washed by some kind of exotic radiation as it plummeted through interstellar space before finally setting in the Bearer system. The original source of this radiation remains unknown, but the GLB Oglabog has been able to pick up a wealth of physics data by studying the asteroid's energy emissions. There's no particular order in which I'm doing the diplomacy ones because we do want to get them complete preferably before we run into a civilization, but we have no rush for any particular one. Active scans of Odiamon 4 have picked up what appears to be a large ship deep inside the atmosphere of the gas giant. Judging by the nearby debris, there have been several failed attempts to salvage this derelict in the past. Any ship strong enough to withstand such crushing gravity must be a magnificent prize, and Science Officer Ogib has proposed a salvage project of our own. No, if others have tried in the past. There's probably a good reason why they didn't succeed. Lepsigan xenologists are practically falling over themselves to publish their takes on the recent findings of alien life. This feathered storm in the scientific community has had some negative, yet temporary impact on pursuits in other fields. Our recent encounter with alien life forms has reignited and made suddenly more urgent the old debate on how we should approach contacting any potentially intelligent alien civilizations we may meet. While some advocate focusing on establishing friendly relations as quickly as possible by contacting them with a message of peace, others advise caution, pointing out that we cannot know whether alien minds bear ill intent towards us and that it would be unwise to let them know too much about us before it is necessary. It is wise to be cautious. We now know without a doubt that a thriving biosphere is not something unique to Ladna. Both the scientific community and the public at large are eager to learn more about the various forms of alien life found throughout the galaxy. Efforts to catalogue the life forms we encounter are already underway, but our xenobiologists have urged us to focus on our planetary survey efforts on habitable, life-bearing worlds. Yep. During its survey of Jubilee 4, the GLB Oglabog discovered several exotic gases previously unknown to us. These gases have a variety of different uses, particularly in the operation of advanced energy-based weaponry and force fields. Some of the gases can also be used as starship fuel or even as recreational drugs. While we do not yet possess the means to extract this resource, we should seriously consider establishing control over the system for future exploitation. A new faction has recently been gaining traction in the internal political landscape of the Glebzig Foundation. Led by Governor Wad Higgs, they call themselves the Xeno Compassion Network. Their members have been pushing hard for friendly relations with alien species. A disgruntled faction will be a source of trouble, but one that approves of the government's actions could prove useful. A new faction has recently been gaining traction in the internal political landscape of the Glebzig Foundation. Led by High Inquisitor Thurrog, they call themselves the Alliance of Faith and Values. Their members support spiritualist and conservative values. A disgruntled faction will be a source of trouble, but one that approves of the government's actions could prove useful. Worlds previously thought to be assorted mountains in the southern hemisphere of Bors 1a have been identified as the massive skeletal remains of a single colossal alien life form. The bones have been dated as 3.4 billion years old, but our scientists have ruled out that Bors 1a could have supported life on that scale at any point in the moon's history. Science Officer Odgib has prepared a special research project to delve further into this mystery. After continued studies of the massive skeletal remains found on Bors 1a, Science Officer Odgib has concluded that the creature served as some kind of organic starship. Much smaller bones from at least 3 separate species were found within the larger skeleton, and we assume these came from members of the crew. For unknown reasons, this organic starship suffered catastrophic damage and crash-landed on Bors 1a. While we cannot begin to understand the biological engineering necessary to grow a starship like this, the study of these bones alone has substantially advanced our knowledge. The mummified remains of a single individual belonging to a previously unknown mammalian species have been found drifting in high orbit over Gilprim 2. The being is dressed in what appears to be a flight suit, complete with a helmet and maybe a fighter pilot that ejected in some ancient battle only to be forgotten and left behind. Our study of the corpse has proved some interesting data. After identifying an anomaly in the gravity well of A1193, the GLB Oglabug has discovered the shattered wreckage of an ancient ore superfreighter buried deep within the asteroid's crust. It must have carried a full load when it crashed, and the asteroid's mineral wealth has been revised accordingly. We are leaving the first Ascension perk unused until we have access to make it we're leaving the first Ascension perk bare until we can make it into the one that allows us to do Gaia Worlds. That's my plan. We have made first contact with a mysterious alien in the Jared system. For now, we have codenamed them Gamma Aliens until we can find out more about them. If they possess a language, we must decipher it in order to establish communications. News of alien ships humming through the ether has reached Ladna, in many ways ending the first chapter in the book of the Glebzig Foundation's bid for a stellar empire. Honestly, I wish we were able to do space travel in the 23rd century, but we weren't. It would have been interesting meeting aliens as well, but since we haven't got into space travel, that hasn't become a possibility yet. Most of the asteroid has been laser chiseled with great precision into the likeness of a small Glebseg temple, or large shrine, a shrine to the Untold, the great destroyer deity of old Glebsegan faiths. The temple has been tumbling through the quiet of space for far longer than we have been capable of spaceflight, which is disturbing at best, terrifying at worst. Naturally, Science Officer Odgib urges us to search for more stellar objects that match the characteristics of this space temple, and has uploaded a list of likely candidates in nearby systems to the situation log. We shall go looking then. The mysterious sightings of an unidentified ship in the Jared system continues to invite speculation. Its design is completely unfamiliar to us, suggesting that we might be dealing with a new alien civilization and a possible first contact scenario. Aside from the fact that the alien spacecraft is clearly capable of hyperspace travel, we know next to nothing about these fascinating beings. No effort should be spared to find out more. It seems our linguists have suffered a major setback in their attempts at codifying the language used by the Gamma aliens. Unfortunately, what they had taken to be their language quite simply was not a language. In her report, Envoy Bukugith states that, after days of investigating the matter from every angle, the linguists finally concluded that it was in fact probably an attempt at music. The GLB Uglabog has entered the Gilprince system, and its crew report that a stellar object not unlike the shrine to the Untold is indeed orbiting the star. Deciphering the pictograms on the benefactress's shrine was a much smoother process than anticipated. All linguists involved describe the language quickly connecting or clicking in their minds, despite its age and complexity. However, the writings are unlikely to make much sense until they are combined with the other writs associated with the rest of the Cordrumvirate godhead. The Gamma aliens appear eager to establish communications with us, having sent a large audio and visual transmission that appears to offer the key to translating their language. Our experts are confident that we will be able to use this to learn to communicate with them soon. Of course, we will have to trust them that their offered translations are not misleading, and that we will be able to reliably interpret information presented from a surely vastly different experiential context. After days of activities that can best be termed fiddling, Science Officer Odgib has retrieved the Doctrine of the Undaunted, a textile scroll coated with a sturdy plastic polymer. Our efforts to decipher the signals picked up from the Gamma aliens have paid off, and we have finally made a breakthrough. While our mastery of their language may not be complete, we have managed to successfully open diplomatic channels with the civilization we now know to be the Bienthel administration. Fair aliens, I bring greetings from the Bienthel administration. We are a peaceful nation, justly ruled by our beloved serene protector Baglag. We hope today will mark the beginning of an era of friendship between ourselves and your fascinating species. I hope that too, and I don't want to start a war with any alien civilizations considering the amount there are and how small we are at the moment, so new friends bring one closer to divinity. The news that we have encountered intelligent alien life for the first time is spreading like wildfire throughout the Glebzig Foundation. Our citizens are fascinated by these beings, and the media is full of reports and speculation on their culture and society. The revelation that we are not alone in this galaxy has largely been greeted with celebration on Ladna. Just like us, the aliens appear to be relative newcomers on the galactic stage, and their level of technology is similar to our own. Cool. We shall send an envoy to continue peaceful communications. We aim to establish an embassy on Ladna for the future betterment of Bienthel Glebzigan diplomacy. I agree with that. And we believe that the Glebzig Foundation and the Bienthel administration have much to offer one another. We suggest entering into a mutually beneficial commercial pact. I agree with that. The galaxy presents enough threats without having to worry about a war between the Glebzig Foundation and the Bienthel administration. We suggest entering into a non-aggression pact to mutually secure peace. I agree with that. Okay, so they're a little bigger than us. We have much to learn from one another, Glebzig. We propose the creation of a research agreement between our empires. I agree with that. Whereabouts are they in terms of victory? Oh, they're actually pretty high up. That's nice having a quote-unquote powerful ally. I mean, not huge amounts, but between 25 and 5, but it's still nice. Science Officer Odgib has reported back with the GLB Oglabog's findings at the Precipient Shrine. They recognized early on that a text in some logographic script is inlaid in the walls, heavily distorted by the layers of translucent lacquer. Initial attempts at unscrambling the text, relying on the raw processing power of the GLB Oglabog's computer to reconstruct the text from plain images, proved fruitless, as it was simply too distorted to place in any known lingual family tree. Next, the crew of the GLB Oglabog attempted to bombard the lacquer with light of varying wavelengths and intensity, but no beneficial reactions were observed. Odgib apparently considered physically separating the lacquer from the inlaid text, but realized that the strange glyphs would doubtlessly have been made misshapen to begin with, only to assume their proper shape when viewed correctly through the lens of the lacquer. Science Officer Odgib was about to call the mission a failure when, looking up as they irritably paced along the edges of the circular space, they realized that discrete lines of cohesive text were momentarily forming before their eyes, melting away only to be replaced by new lines. Not long after, they had the ceiling, walls, and floor imaged in spiral pattern. Texts from other shrines should help us piece it all together. Cool. The complete doctrine of the gods, for that is what the recovered texts have to be regarded as, dwarfing the fairy tale scraps upon which the old Glebsig religions were founded, is as shockingly revelatory as it is revolutionary. With only a little bit of creative interpretation, it is clear that the people of Ladna were meant for great things, guided by the strong hand of a religious leader. Our path is one to godhood, but our past is littered with prophecies unfulfilled and sin both of ignorance. Redemption is ephemeral. What can we learn from this? Okay, now we'll go on to discovery because we're in that stage at the moment. The Glebsigan people should not be prisoners in the Glebsig Foundation, and neither should our own people be limited to inhabit our territory. Let us agree to remedy this. I agree to that. We would not want to drag your empire into a conflict, but it is clear that we would benefit from joining together against possible threats. I agree to that. You're a lot more powerful than us, but if it means peace between us, then peace between us. The structures on Giantha 6A are not as old as we first believed. It seems to be a playground or amusement park of some sort. Science Officer Odgib notes that many of the contraptions are highly complex creations that we can learn much from, and that, to the builder's alien eyes, this might have been a cutting-edge sensor array, or even a gigantic art installation. Regardless to us, Glebsigi, it looks mostly like a place where you would take your younger and let them amuse themselves. Some kind of burrowing silicon-based life form inhabits a vast network of tunnels beneath the barren surface of Gianta 3. As best as we can tell, the creatures feed off rocks, and there is evidence to suggest that they possess a rudimentary form of intelligence. Their tunneling efforts have shoveled large amounts of valuable minerals to the surface. An abandoned life pod was detected in close office orbit of Gianta 1A. It is covered in scorch marks, presumably from when the pod's mothership exploded, and preliminary scans suggest it was built more than 5,000 years ago. The crew of the GLB Uglabog managed to open the pod, revealing the withered remains of a reptilian alien clad in a resplendent uniform. Clutched in one of its claws was a small picture of another individual from the same race, possibly a mate of revered leader. For some reason, someone has towed an asteroid into a stable orbit around Aton 4. The massive engine sections and braking thrusters can still be found on the surface, although they have long since been rendered inoperable. Whoever did this also mined the asteroid for minerals, but these operations were seemingly abandoned shortly after they began. There is clear evidence that a massive space battle took place in close orbit of Shukon 1 at some point in the past 5,000 years. The surface on one side of the planet is pockmarked with craters from stray weapon blasts, and scans from the GLB Oglabog have picked up several hulks on the ground. Though these wrecked ships are all in very poor condition, the fact that anything remains at all after the damage they must have sustained is a testament to their advanced design. Science Officer Odgib is preparing an expedition to sift through these derelict hulls for any valuable technologies. Someone used a mining laser from orbit approximately 5,000 years ago to carve a large body of writing into the surface of Dangel 3A. The massive script covers a large portion of the moon's upper hemisphere and appears to be a short story chronicling the difficult life of an alien mercenary. Dangel 1 is uninhabited and indeed uninhabitable, but not unvisited. Its surface is littered with tall cenotaphs carved from some mineral not native to the planet, evidently placed here by some artistically inclined spacefaring race. The monolith's flowing lines deftly chart a history so fantastical it must surely be fictional. Surely. Notcamp 3 is crisscrossed by overlapping mineral composite bands that are elevated above the harsh surface by tall, flexible pylons. Constantly agitated by atmospheric winds, these pylons sway, and the overlapping bands rub together to produce sonic waves at what are, to Glebsegi, inaudible frequencies. Science Officer Odgib reports some difficulty in isolating this audio from the natural background noise of the planet, but notes that the mineral bands could, should we so choose, be broken down and efficiently recycled by the Glebsig Foundation. And with that, we shall conclude this episode of Stellaris. We have made big progress, starting from just one planet to this conglomerate, met a second alien empire, the Beanathel administration, but we still have so much galaxy to explore, so many more alien life forms and empires to meet, and so much more conflict and drama that will probably happen. So I hope to see you in the next episode of Stellaris. Until then, have a brilliant day, my Melons.